Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to be talking about human trafficking and what one amazing nonprofit in Dallas is doing about it. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, often when you hear about human trafficking, a lot of people normally assume that it's not happening in their own backyard. It's happening in some foreign land, or maybe it's happening at the border because they heard something on the news. No, unfortunately, it is happening right here in Dallas. And to talk about that today, Bianca Jackson, she's the CEO of New Friends, New Life, and Matt Osborne, he's with the Men's Advocacy Group. Thanks for coming on the show.
So great to be here.
Yeah. Well, Bianca, let's talk about the mission and ministry of New Friends, New Life.
Sure. New Friends, New Life exists to restore and empower teen girls, women, and children who have been trafficked or exploited in our community. We started about 22 years ago when a topless dancer walked into the basement of Preston Road Church of Christ and just said, "I can't do this anymore. Can someone help me?" And as you can imagine, 22 years ago, we weren't really talking about that term. That term hadn't been coined yet. We didn't know what sex trafficking or human trafficking meant, but we did know that a woman needed help. And so from day one, the group of women at that church started providing emotional support, spiritual support, financial support, and that woman kept bringing her friends. And here we are 22 years later, serving about 330 women and teen girls every single year.
And Matt, from a men's perspective, I mean, these are somebody's daughters. Why should men care?
This is absolutely a men's issue. Men are the one causing the demand. Men are the one driving this, whether it is in the consumption of child sex abuse material, whether it is in the purchase of human beings. And so at New Friends, New Life and its Men's Advocacy Group, we are trying to rally men to say, not our children, not our city, and get good men to come and say, not in my name. Let's come together for advocacy, education, awareness through a variety of programs.
Outstanding. We've got a nice overview video. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
Who will stand for her? Who will stand for the teens being trafficked on our streets in Dallas? Who will stand for the children vulnerable to being sold? Who will stand for the women trying to free themselves and their children from the chains of trafficking?
At New Friends, New Life, we are standing for each of these survivors.
We are educating by raising awareness in our community. We are advocating for the legal changes that will make Texas a no-tolerance zone for traffickers, and empowering to help heal and restore those who have suffered.
Most of the women we see come in, they have a long history of abuse that has often begun during their childhood. We want to foster self-sufficiency for her. We want her to be able to move forward by the end of her time with us, to be able to live on her own, to feel really confident in her ability to stand on her own 2 feet and move forward confidently into the world. The second thing we want for her is for her to feel empowered, that she is able to go forward from here feeling confident, not having any shame left from her experiences of abuse, and to feel really good about what her identity is and how she can operate in the world from this point forward. The third thing we want for women that come to New Friends, New Life is for her to be safe. We want her to be physically safe, living in a home that is hers, that she knows that she is able to go and shut the door and is safe from those who have hurt her in the past. and that she is emotionally safe, that she has worked on the traumatic experiences and memories that have influenced how she's felt about herself, and that she can go forward and really know for herself. She knows who safe people are. She has a good support system, and she knows how to cope with things that come her way that are difficult.
If we are to combat the ills of modern-day slavery,
it will take all of us standing for her. So she can stand for herself.
So she can support her family and build a future.
Join us as we educate, advocate, network, and give support to restore the lives of teens, women, and their children in our city.
Not our children. Not our city.
Wow, so powerful. People often will watch something like this and they feel helpless. What can people at home do?
I think it's important to know that there are resources like New Friends, New Life. If you see something, say something. If there is any concern that a neighbor is in danger or your own child may be in danger, reach out to us because we're here to help. And in order to do that, you have to know how it looks in our community, because there is this assumption that ties human trafficking to being kidnapped in the back of a white van. We do know that kidnapping does happen, but it's not the most common way that it happens here in Dallas. What you're really looking for is subtle signs of someone who is coming in to fill a very need, typically in a young girl's life. So if she wants to feel loved and important, if she wants money to buy the clothing that her friends have, he's going to show up and say, I want to take care of you. I want to be your boyfriend. I want to help you pay your mom's rent. So that's what you're on the lookout for. How is someone trying to fill a need in a teenager's life in an evil way?
And Matt, let's bring you back into the conversation, because all too often we hear this, oh, it's a victimless crime. From a man's perspective, there are victims here.
There are victims, and I think sometimes the danger is that men either don't know or don't want to know. They think, oh, this is prostitution. This is like the movie Pretty Woman, if you remember that, the Julia Roberts character. That's how she's trying to make her living. But we're trying to educate men that these are victims, not volunteers. This is trafficking and not prostitution.
Absolutely, and we've got a nice overview of the men's advocacy group. Let's go ahead and roll that as well.
Trafficking is real. It's in our world, our nation, and our community.
And when we took the bus tour with New Friends of Life and we drove around through the areas and saw 3 hotels there within a 5-mile radius of my house, it was very concerning.
We're in these buses and you see people coming and going to the hotel rooms or into this office complex.
You know, we kind of think, well, maybe it's a spot here or there, but it's not. It's very pervasive in our community.
When I imagined girls that were my own daughter's age being affected by this, being bought and sold, it moved me to really want to take action.
So often we feel like women are taking the lead on this, but men can certainly get involved, and we should get involved.
Human trafficking is not a women's problem, it's a human problem.
Human trafficking starts and ends with men.
We're really pouring into our teen youth, especially young boys.
Trying to start young to make sure they understand, look, this is what real manhood is.
When I told them that there's over 400 teens every night in Dallas that are trafficked, my 18-year-old, he couldn't believe it.
Conscious indifference or just being uninformed is not good enough, and in fact is a major part of the problem. Once I had Eloise, I realized that I couldn't guarantee that she wouldn't be a target. If you don't get involved to make sure that no one's a target, you can't even protect your own home.
Poor role models leave too many women broken on the streets of Dallas and their kids taken away. I've seen firsthand how New Friends, New Life can turn a messed up past like that into a very special lady and a great mother. I've also been blessed to mentor her high school son. MAG men have unique opportunities to make a positive difference.
This problem can be eradicated in our city, but it must be a total community commitment.
I was in a MAG board meeting recently where there were probably about 12 men around the table, and we were talking about what could we actually do. And there were different men around the room that came up with ideas, lawyers that would say this is the kind of legislation that we can go after, and people in the business community saying this is how we could get other businesses involved in the No Harm Network, and for me and other pastors in the room saying this is how we could get the church involved.
This is something that's going to change your life. This nation will be a better nation because you stepped up to represent those who cannot represent themselves. I can't think of a higher calling for you.
I stand for her.
I stand for her.
I stand for her.
I stand for her.
Not our children, not our city.
Wow, I get goosebumps when I think about everything that you guys are involved in. Bianca, you were telling me a story right before we went on about a 17-year-old girl that really puts a face on this.
Yes, and so there are vulnerabilities that make young girls in particular susceptible, and there are some traits that you look for. There's often a history of childhood sexual abuse or coming from a background of poverty or other issues. But one of the ladies that we served didn't fit that particular mold. You know, she came from the right part of town. She had a two-parent household. She had all of the financial resources one would want. So her and her friends walked into a bar one day, and she's 17 years old, and someone there said, "We've never seen anyone as beautiful as you." And that was the trigger for her, someone validating her. She kept going back. It turned into experimentation with drugs. That led into years of being trafficked and exploited, and she was able to go through our women's program and come out of on the other side of that. But it just goes to show that it really can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. All of our girls are at risk.
Yes, and I know there's a lot of myths out there, and one of the things, Matt, we talked about before the show is this bus tour that you do. Explain that.
One of the flagship programs of the Men's Advocacy Group is a sex trafficking awareness excursion or bus tour that we offer free to the public every month, or hopefully will again soon if COVID will ever lighten up. And what we do is we take the men and women who attend the bus tour to sites of big human trafficking cases, important human trafficking busts, and we break stereotypes. I know when I went on it, I thought, oh, we're going to the crime-ridden parts of Dallas. No, we are going to nice areas of Dallas. We are going to learn about victims who on paper were smart, had so much going for them, but because of what Bianca just said, they were able to be lured into this. And so we always have to be aware. And then another program is the Man Kindness Project, where we reach out to high schools, teenage and adolescent boys, high school athletes, teach them a healthy respect for women and girls, and say that no one just wakes up one day and says, I'm going to purchase another human being, I'm going to abuse another human being. It's a journey of 1,000 steps. So young men, let's back up and not even take that first step of disrespecting women through our words, our jokes, or our actions.
Absolutely. You have a big event coming up here soon. Let's, Bianca, talk about the men's breakfast.
Oh, we are so excited about our men's breakfast coming up on Friday, August 20th. We're going to be back in person, which is exciting. It's the 4th year that we're doing this. We're going to be at the Rustic. We're expecting about 250 guys to hang out with us in a great indoor-outdoor environment. We're going to be talking or hearing from city leaders about leadership in the home, in the workplace, and how sex trafficking affects the health of our community and the health of our economy. So a great networking opportunity and a great opportunity to learn more about the issue and how men can stay involved.
Absolutely. We've got about 2 minutes left, so I'll give you both kind of the last word. Matt, what would you like to leave the audience with?
Really just to reach out to men and those women who have great men in their lives to get involved. On our website, I know we'll talk about it, but joining the Men's Advocacy Group, different ways to get involved. And we use sports oftentimes. We use networking. We use any way that we can get men in the door to educate them on this problem. And then there are a variety of ways that they can really feel that they're supporting our members, either directly or indirectly.
Mm-hmm.
Bianca?
I would say one of the things that really light me up is the opportunity and the privilege we have to reintroduce this woman to the community and to show how much more similar she is to us than different from us. What we wanted for our lives at 9 years old, at 12 years old, she wanted the same thing. She just ran into this situation. So how do we normalize who she is and help her get out of this environment that she did not create, nor that she deserves?
Wow. Well, thank you both for your passion and the work that you're doing. I'm so blessed to have you in my studio. We're going to end by putting up the website so people can get plugged in. newfriendsnewlife.org is the website. Bianca, Matt, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.